Then we'll call the planning board meeting of August 23rd, 2022 to order at 7:10 PM. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our first order of business is Jellystone Park Cranberry Acres, 20 Shoestring Road, modification to Phase 2 campsites.
Chrissy's also got that on the screen if you'd prefer.
So he doesn't want to play with you today, huh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Dan Flores with SFC Engineering. I'm the engineer who prepared this plan. We were last here back in July to present the minor modification, basically centered around the Phase 2 campsites to adjust the grades to better match the existing terrain that's there on site today. From that meeting, we were sent off to the Conservation Commission to amend the order of conditions. The Conservation Commission granted that amendment last Wednesday on the 17th. That amendment has been recorded at the Plymouth Registry as Book 57142, page 216. We also have received comments from Fuss and O'Neill that we addressed with plan revision dated August 12th, that you should all have a copy of. Fuss and O'Neill responded on the 19th, this past Friday, stating that we have satisfactorily addressed all their comments. And basically, those plan changes, just a quick summary, we added some travel way signage in the developed area. We moved the laundry building a little bit to allow some cart parking for campers. We added some outlet aprons to drain pipes, some additional siltation control. We added clarification of what was seeded and what is not seeded. And we added trees to the Phase 2 campsites. We also added the planning board approval block. Other than that, the plans are the same as described when I was here last month. So again, we're here for the minor modification, and we hope to get that approval tonight. If you have any questions?
You mentioned you were permitted through the Conservation Commission.
Yep.
And you received approvals from all the required boards.
Yep. The state permitting is still underway. The wastewater treatment facility, the septic permit, that's been issued as a draft permit. It's about halfway through that period. So we expect that probably next month, should be. And then the water supply, the wells are being drilled and tested, and that's ongoing.
No, you're putting the wells in the wetlands, correct?
Yeah, that hasn't changed, correct?
All right. And you approved, you've been approved through the Board of Appeals on that?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that was included in the order of conditions.
All right. So the ZBA gave you permits and permission?
That's my understanding.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're in compliance, that's
Yep.
all. Make sure we cover our bases. Any questions?
from the board?
Yeah, just one thing to refresh my memory a little bit. The grading for the sites, predominantly the grading is staying put. You just kind of leveling it off in order to put things where they are. You're not taking it down 40, 50 feet or anything. Right?
Yeah, the original design had a cut up to 12 feet, basically level the whole area. We're trying to maintain the grades as best as possible. We hope and that will allow us to save trees. We have provided a tree planting in case it isn't, but this at least gives the opportunity to fit sites in and meet the grade that's out there today without it completely being flattened and stripped.
Good. Thank you.
All right. I don't have any questions. I think we've been through most of this. The board will accept the motion in regards to Jellystone Park, Cranberry Acres, 20 Shoestring Road, modification to Phase 2 campsites.
I'll make said motion
To
to go along with
approve?
approval.
Yes. Motion made by Ms. Sordillo, seconded by Mr. Dion. Any discussion among the board? I didn't see a copy of the ZBA permit, so I just want to,
I'll
thank
track
you.
that down.
All right,
And I have prepared a draft decision that, hot off the presses.
excellent.
If you'd like me to roll through that, I'll have to.
Yes, yeah. I don't think that we were very extensive on the conditioning on this.
No, so, this is a letter to the building commissioner because it's site plan approval. As we know, one of those inside the baseball things. Special permit approvals go to the town clerk, site plan approvals go to the building commissioner, but we copy each party on both of them, so everybody's in the loop. Paul Boucher, building commissioner, Carver Town Hall applicant, NGR Cape Cod LLC, minor modification site plan review. At its meeting of March 20th, at its meeting of August 23rd, 2022, the planning board voted to approve the modification of NGR Cape Cod LLC for a minor modification of their site plan previously approved by the planning board in February 2022 for Phase 2 campsites for a project located at 20 Shoestring Road, Carver, Mass. So the topography better conforms to the existing grades for the expansion of the existing campground as shown on the plan entitled Jellystone Park, Cranberry Acres, 20 Shoestring Road, Assessors Map 124, Lot 3, Map 125, Lot 3A, prepared by FFC Engineering, 183 Rockland Road, Wyndham, New Hampshire, dated June 30th, 2022, revised through 8/12/22 with the following findings and conditions. Findings. The planning board reviewed the revised application at their July 12th and August 23rd, 2022 meetings. The board had required the applicant to return to the board with revised plans, including detailed landscape and photometric lighting plan, elevations of all proposed buildings and additions so maximum building height can be verified, zoning table showing proposed frontage, coverages, setbacks, and maximum building heights, confirmation from Carver Fire Department regarding the adequacy of site access and circulation for emergency and road services are properly constructed for fire equipment and vehicle outriggers and other fire protection measures that may be required, location of all existing and proposed on-site utility poles, dump pad, drainage detail, and a verification of the extent of public right-of-way of Shoestring Road. The planning board previously approved a site plan for the use, which included a water park for registered campers. The proposed water park will require additional site plan review by the planning board. Revisions to this minor modification for site plan were reviewed by Fuss and O'Neill, the board's consulting engineer, the town planner, the building commissioner, and Carver Fire Department. The pavilion height will be 26 feet tall. The laundry building has been changed to 1 story, and the previous maintenance area has been removed from the plan. The laundry building has been moved to provide a 12-foot from the edge of the driveway to provide better building access and room for campers to park golf carts. The building commissioner and CFD, Carver Fire Department, have both confirmed they have no concerns about the building changes. An expansion of the existing lodge is no longer being proposed, and CFD has stated that a fire sprinkler system is no longer required. Shoestring Road is a private way. The applicants will be installing guardrails along a portion of the roadway near the cranberry bogs as shown on the revised 8/12/22 plan. The installation of guardrails and other modifications have been approved by the Conservation Commission at their 8/12/22 meeting. I did confirm that with their conservation agent. Yogi Bear, Jellystone Park, Cranberry Acres is approximately 68 acres. It is located in a residential agricultural zoning district. Sites bordered by Crane Brook to the west and wetland bogs to the south. Ben's Pond is located on the eastern side of the property. The property is not located within a mass division of historic emissions and wildlife's mapped areas of priority habitat and estimated habitats. Conditions. 1. The applicant is responsible for the proper operation and maintenance of the site. During construction, sedimentation and soil controls must be installed, repaired, and supplemented as needed. Dust control is required during construction of the roadway apron and be kept clear of any dust and dirt and debris. The applicant should provide a storm water pollution prevention, a SWIP, that is abbreviated SWPPP, to the town and FNO prior to conducting site disturbances. Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, any outstanding balance of the review and inspection deposits shall be paid. As-built should be submitted to the town engineer and the planning department in both electronic and hard copy form prior to the final inspection. And in accordance with section 3180 compliance of the Carver zoning bylaw, the town engineer shall inspect the project to ensure it has been completed in compliance with the approved site plan and its conditions. F&O to conduct site inspections to confirm stormwater and sediments are being managed on site. The applicant shall apply for and receive sign permits prior to the installation of any new signs subject to the sign permit. No final occupancy shall be issued until the planning board notifies the building inspector in writing the project has been completed in compliance with the site plan and its conditions. Where final landscaping cannot be completed because of weather conditions, the building inspector may issue a temporary occupancy permit, or the planning board may require a surety until the work is complete. End of decision.
All right, conditions, the fire department, are they gonna do an inspection prior
Yes.
to? Alright. That, and, any other concerns from the board? Alright, seeing no further discussion, Mr. Dion,
Mr. Dion says aye.
Mr. Gatz,
John Gasky says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Alright, congratulations.
thank you very much.
Very much. I will take a motion from the board to take the application of Christopher Mazalewski requesting a special permit out of order.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Gasky, seconded by Ms. Sordillo. Is Mr. Mazalewski available?
I do not see them in the room.
Were they duly informed of?
Well, applicants know when the hearings are continued to. We did not send them a personal invitation to the meeting. But based on what we have talked about at the site plan and previously to that, I think I've also prepared a draft decision for that deal with the conditions. If the board is comfortable moving forward with that tonight, or if the board wants to continue it until the applicant is here, these conditions we've discussed with them, and they didn't have any objection to those. So it's the pleasure of the board.
I would prefer they be here to have a say in the matter.
Very well. Then we will let them know. We'll continue them, and, well, what is the board's pleasure, to continue them until September 13th?
I would just as soon go to the meeting after that, didn't we, where we stacked?
is the next meeting,
Yeah, and I know we've continued a bunch to that particular date.
September 27th will be the meeting after that.
What's our schedule looking like on the 13th?
We have 94th Street for Paroli. Hang on just a second, let me bring that up. There was a time I could work from memory, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
So-
we have 80 Makepeace, Beals and Thomas, continued to the 13th. Creola Concrete, continued to the 13th.
Then I would,
And whatever
I
other
would make,
business
I would
think.
recommend doing it for the 27th. So the board will accept the motion to continue the hearing of Christopher Mazalewski requesting a special permit located at 17 Wareham Street in Carver, Mass. In the residential agricultural zoning district. The project will consist of landscaping and tree service home occupation 2, September 27th of 2022 at 7 p.m.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dion,
Second that.
seconded by Ms. Sardillo. Any further discussion?
Mr. Dion says aye.
John Gasky says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
All right, thank you very much. Our next order of business is continuation of a public hearing in accordance with the provisions of the town of Carver zoning bylaw. The Carver Planning Board will hold a public hearing on August 23rd, 2022. This is a continuation in Carver Town Hall, meeting room number 1, on the application of Bridgestone Development, Inc., requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to sections 3100, 5300, 2330, and 2230 of the Carver zoning bylaw, located at lot number 3, Ricketts Pond Business Park, off Spring Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 32, lot 1 through 3, 1-3, excuse me, in the Spring Street Innovation Zoning District, SSID. The project will consist of the construction of 2 commercial buildings located at lot 3, Ricketts Pond Business Park, located off Spring Street. The lot will be comprised of 2 commercial buildings with associated driveways, parking areas, closed drainage system, septic system, and utility connections. Stormwater from the site development will be directed to infiltration basins designed to accommodate runoff from Ricketts Pond Business Park definitive subdivision. Any persons interested in wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the plan is on file at the planning department and may be reviewed during normal business hours.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
please.
Whenever we have a special permit and one of the board members is absent, I always like to caution the board and the applicant that this is a special permit. It requires a 4/5 vote. There are 5 eligible members here this evening to vote, if you invoke Mr. Williams as a voting member for this particular application. But in the absence of, or continuing, would disqualify Mr. Robinson from voting in the future, so they would be down to those 5 members versus the 6 members they would typically have. So I always like to advise the board and the applicant of how they'd like to proceed at that point.
I'm comfortable proceeding. It's up to you, Eric.
On behalf of the applicant, we'd like to continue to the next available public hearing.
All right,
Yep.
that's fine, yep. All right, so the board will accept the motion to continue the public hearing of Bridgestone Development, Inc., requesting a special permit site plan review located at lot number 3, Ricketts Pond Business Park, off Spring Street in Carver, Mass. To September 27th.
Well, actually, we had a placeholder for them on the 13th.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Then the
So-
13th at 7 p.m. September 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Dion, seconded by Mr. Gatsky. Any discussion amongst the board members?
Mr. Dion says aye.
John Gasky says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
All right. Planning board member notes. Wow. What's
Killed it tonight.
any luck? Or have we reached out to Eversource? I think that was the only pending thing we had.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm prepared if, when we get to the planning director's notes, to fill you in on what's.
Oh, okay. Other than that, I think Middleborough got knocked out of the World Series, but they did a great job.
Yes.
Congratulations to those young men. All right. Any other discussion among the board?
No, not sure if all the tickets are sold yet, but the Carver Sportsman's Club lobster and chicken bake is Sunday, or I believe it's Sunday. Either Saturday and Sunday. It's on the website carversportsmans.com. And if you're interested, get yourself a ticket. And you got raffles and supposed to be some really, really, really good food. I think it's like 30 or 35 a plate.
That sounds like quite the bargain.
Oh, I'd like to extend well wishes to Jim Nowen, who's home from the hospital.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Speedy recovery, Jim, and I know you will.
Thank you very much. I would have liked to,
Yeah.
make sure that was included.
He's got a wonderful wife, Gail, who I know will take care of him properly.
Yes, I only recently heard about it. It's a sad loss for the town. Mr. Bott,
That he resigned from the Conservation Commission.
he resigned from the company.
But that's the sad loss for the town, that he resigned.
Yes.
Not,
Yeah.
No,
I just want to clarify.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No.
No,
Hey,
there's been no.
No.
Yeah, just,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I thought he
also
sat on
there-
2 committees,
They're
but
actually holding something for him in case he wanted to return.
Okay.
So,
all right. Planning director notes.
alrighty. I have reached out to Eversource. We had a brief meeting. I am having another meeting with Eversource next week in order to set the table and bring them here to see us. So they were very responsive, got right back to us, and so we're got a meeting set up with them, staff meeting next week.
Excellent.
Uh,
Excellent.
So that worked very well.
What about appearing? Will they appear for the board? or-
I'm going to say they likely will,
Okay, excellent.
because that's we're going to
But
talk
we'll
about.
schedule it there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what are the questions, what, people like to know what the questions are, what's up, and so we're having that in-house discussion with them. Additionally, the zoning bylaw moratorium committee has its first projected meeting for August 30th. Been a couple fits and starts on that. We are putting together information in a packet for all the committee members, and we should have that pretty much buttoned up here in the next day or so. So we got a number of information put together for the committee members, and as soon as that's complete, we'll ring everybody and let them come by and pick up their notebook. We recently had a conversation, or it came up in a meeting here, about scenic ways. Was this a scenic road? And what are the parameters of a scenic road? And so I wanted to get a list of what roads in Carver are scenic. There are some referenced in the Carver Open Space Plan. There are some referenced in a 2010 article to town meeting. It does not appear that there are any scenic roads in Carver. An article in 2010 was continued from the May session to the June session, but never brought up again. It was tabled. So there don't appear to be any scenic roads. I've checked with our friends at Serpide, checked with the highway department, checked with the town clerk. There don't appear to be any scenic roads.
Excellent.
And scenic roads, to re-emphasize, are roads that if there is a tree hearing, a tree to be removed within the road right-of-way, or a stone wall to be affected, that is the scope of scenic roads. So typically, if a tree is to be cut within the road right-of-way, it's a tree hearing by the tree warden. If it's a scenic road, that tree hearing goes to the planning board. And so while it has been envisioned in the open space plan that we're in the midst of redeveloping, there apparently hasn't been any action on that. I believe it is a town meeting vote. I've had conversations with Sarah Hewins, who was long involved in this. And so we've basically found the Article 36 from 2010, and it has the potential to go to a town meeting and make that happen if that's what folks want to do.
Sure.
So that's where we're at on that. In addition, we had an A&R a while back, and somebody mentioned an ancient way on it. There was an ancient way, and someone said, "What's an ancient way?"
Yeah, that has to do, that was up by around the.
Yeah, that was a road in Middleborough.
Right,
Yeah.
yep.
By the way, I walked all that property a few weeks ago in the morning, and just took a walk in the woods. It's kind of a nice thing to do. It's kind of fun out there, just walking the cart paths and the ATV paths, and no one ran me over, so it worked out pretty well for me. So I've got some information I put together on ancient ways. But just to tell you, it is wicked technical, this kind of stuff, but you ask about it, so I always try to find some information for things like that. So there's a great flyer put together by Andrea Dawson. She's a fabulous attorney who put this thing together, so I'm tracking that down for you as well. So Eversource, Scenic Roads, Ancient Ways, Zoning Bylaw Committee, that's what I got.
No zoning bylaw committee.
I thought it was a zoning bylaw committee, but apparently it is the Battery and Solar Moratorium Committee.
Right.
But
It's
Not to say-
yeah, they
not to say
conscripted
these
a-
things don't become something, and
Right.
then we revisit the scope of that group and bring it back for something else. Because
Okay.
I
'Cause-
think previously there was a zoning bylaw committee, and I think it's probably not a bad idea to have one. And so we'll keep pushing that.
It got conscripted.
Yeah.
These things happen. All right, we have no minutes. So
We have minutes from July 26th, I believe.
I never
Emailed
received
out.
them.
Michelle emailed them out last week.
I must have missed that.
I'm going to assume that we should probably continue that portion.
That- I would
to-
think that would be,
All right, so July 26th meetings, we'll roll them on to the September 13th meeting?
yes,
Okay.
I must have missed that somehow. Sorry, Michelle. All right. I don't think we have any further business, so the board would accept the motion for adjournment.
I will make said
Oh,
motion.
wait. Do we need to motion to continue those? All right, well, the board will accept the motion to continue the meeting minutes of 7:20.
Oh, yeah, that's,
To our next
yeah,
meeting.
don't need a motion for that, but we'll bring it back then. I do have the decision for NGR. I'd like you guys to sign while you're here.
Yep.
If you'd be so kind.
All right. So is it, I will accept the motion to continue the meeting minutes of 7:26 to the next meeting.
I will make said motion.
Motion made by Ms. Sordillo,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Dion. Any discussion? Mr. Dion.
Mr. Dion says aye.
John Gasky says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Thank you. And now the board will accept a motion for adjournment.
I'll make said motion for them.
Motion made by Ms. Sordillo,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Dion.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
Seeing none. Mr. Dion.
Mr. Dion says aye.
Aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Thank you all very much.